Hi, I'm Corey Jackson. I'm a counselor at CAPA in Eugene, Oregon, and I'm here to present the second part of the Less Stressed Family Holiday series. This section is going to be on the power of connection, using compassion, kindness, and empathy in your household to reduce stress. I'm so glad that you're back with us for this part. In the last video, we looked at the brain state model, looked at how the thinking, feeling, and survival states of the brain ideally work together. But sometimes, especially during the holidays, we lose connection with our thinking brain and are left with sometimes the feeling and even the survival state to be able to make it through some of those more challenging and difficult times of the holidays. During this section of the video, I'm going to give you some really specific tools to use to be able to promote a sense of connection and well-being within your household. But before we do that, we're going to start off with another activity. What I'd like for you to do is to define kind of a comfortable position for you to get yourself into. If you'd like to leave your eyes open, that's fine. If you'd like to close them, it would work very well if you did that as well. What I would like for you to do is to bring to mind someone who has shown you a great deal of kindness and compassion in your life. It may be a friend or a family member, someone who has seen the best in you, even when you weren't acting your best yourself. Someone who was always there when you needed them. And what I'd like for you to do is just to picture that person's face smiling at you right now. Imagine what their eyes may look like. Remember what their smile looks like. And just allow the presence of their memory to be right there in front of you, just for a moment. Notice how you feel. Notice what may be happening in your face and in your body right now. Take a few really big deep breaths. Think about the compassion they showed to you. Ways they showed you kindness. Ways they were able to see into your world. What did you notice? If you're like me, those people that are in our worlds that are so very good at showing us kindness mean a lot to us. And whether they're with you presently now or maybe they're not at all, those memories have a way of bringing up some very powerful feelings for us. And what you felt just then, that sense of well-being, comes from somewhere. And it comes from inside, and there's also some really amazing things happening in the brain just by reflecting on those moments of kindness and compassion. So for the next minutes, what we're going to do is look into how you can promote that sense of well-being in your own children, in your household during this holiday season. As we did last time, I'd like for you to think about a commitment that you would like to make during our time together right now. You may actually look back on your last commitment if you're doing these videos close together. Look back and kind of see how you're doing. Or if you'd like to, go ahead and make a new commitment right now, something you want to look back on at the end of our time together right now and say, wow, I did that. Or, hey, I didn't quite do what I set out to do, and I'm going to be okay with myself, and I'm going to maybe learn a little bit more about what I need right now. So an example of a commitment may be, I'm going to try my best to really stay focused during these next minutes I have on this video. And I'll know that I'm focused when I'm paying attention to the video, maybe writing some notes or making some mental notes and thinking about how this applies to me in my household. I'll know that I'm off track from my goal, from my commitment, if I find myself looking at my cell phone or flipping through or thinking about what I need to do the rest of the day or the rest of the week. And that's okay if you find yourself doing that. Recognize it. Say, wow, I made a commitment to stay focused. I got off track. And I'm going to pull myself back into this present moment and get as much as I can out of this time that we have together. So on the last video, we were looking at a particularly memorable character from the realm of holiday movies and films. We saw our little guy who was having a really, really hard time because things were not going the way that he hoped that they would. And that led to some feelings of stress and anger and frustration that kind of turned his whole persona into this really angry, really frustrated, very physically reactive person when it came to the holidays. Now, if you've seen the movie or the animated special about this, you know the end of the story here. And if you don't, I highly recommend taking a look at it again through this lens. Think about the way that we respond to things that have happened in the past, things that are happening right now, and kind of our expectations about what might happen in the future. And what happens towards the end of the story is that our main character is surprised by the power of connection and kindness and those warm feelings that come along with connecting towards other people. And in I love in the animated special, but also in the movie, you notice that it changes this whole person, and then the heart grows 3 sizes bigger than it was the day before. And it changes the heart, and it changes the actions, and it changes a whole lot of everything that's going on. Now, this is really kind of counterintuitive. A lot of times when we see people acting in ways that are maybe less than desirable, or maybe they're acting unkind, or maybe really acting out in some sort of ways that are sort of unpleasant, sometimes we get this sensation that we have to like get in there and just kind of change this and nip it in the bud and really put down some heavy consequences or lay down the law or teach a lesson to that person. Now, remember last time when we talked about those brain states, to be able to learn a lesson, can you guess what state you have to be in? The green brain, that thinking, clear state of the brain. That's the state that you need to be in to actually connect consequences with actions, to be able to learn a lesson. So if we see someone who's left their green brain, they've, like Dan Siegel said, we flipped our lids and we're feeling very, very emotional, very angry, very upset. We're maybe in that blue brain state where we're just kind of ruminating on our emotions. Remember, our skill level is very small. Connecting the dots, logic, being able to remember something or learn a new thing does not happen when a person is in that emotional state. Think about if they're in the red brain, the survival state. Those skills become even smaller. So trying to teach a lesson to someone who is in that red brain state is kind of an exercise in futility, where we're putting out a lot of energy and getting very, very little return. This is why a lot of times people repeat the same mistakes again and again and again, is because when they were being maybe instructed or someone was trying to teach them a new way, they weren't in the right brain state to be able to let that message sink in. So we're going to look at how to meet the needs of those blue and red brain states so that we can get back to that green brain state and maybe be able to learn from mistakes and do new things. But we're also going to do this because during the holiday season, things get a little more hectic. They get a little more tricky than usual. A lot of times there's a lot of expectancy, things that we expect that maybe are going to happen that we don't want to happen, like that thing that we don't like that happens every time this time of year, or maybe some hard memories connected to this time of year that every time it circles back around, we notice our emotions are just a little bit higher than usual. It may also be that there's so much chaotic things happening in the loss of predictability and the loss of the way things usually work, that just the overall energy level is just that much higher, right? So we're a lot more likely to be in those more emotional states or even survival states sometimes during this holiday season than usual, right? So we're going to look at what do we do to meet those needs. Remember, the blue brain, above all, wants to feel known, wants to feel connected, wants to feel compassion, that someone knows what's going on for them and is able to communicate that really, really well. That person that I had you imagine just a few moments ago probably was very good at this with you. You may have experienced this other times as well. So think about a time when maybe you were having a particularly hard time and someone just sat with you and just extended compassion, didn't try to fix it, didn't tell you you were wrong or that things were your fault, just heard what was going on from your side. Do you remember how that felt? Do you remember how that helped those emotions be able to kind of soothe to the point where you could make a little bit more sense of them? And we're stuck down in that blue brain. It's so hard because we feel so much emotion and have very little of the logic to be able to make sense of that emotion. It just feels really, really hot. The emotions feel really heavy and they feel really intense, and that integration is lost. Remember, our upstairs is not talking to our downstairs, but being heard and felt soothes the blue brain and allows that lid to come back down to be able to kind of hug the lower brain and be able to make sense of what's going on. The other thing that may need to happen is that you just need to be able to feel safe. If you've gone beyond the emotions and down into that, I don't even feel safe anymore. These tools will help with that as well. Remember, with the red brain, you're really going to need them to help them know that they're feeling safe. You being calm and under control is a really, really good first step in that. So some of these tools are more for the grown-up side to be able to recognize that's where they are, and I need to help get to their level. I need to exercise my green brain to be able to see the world through their eyes and help things get to a better state. So the first tool that we're going to look at in terms of building connection is a mental shift. The idea is that we are going to choose, actively choose, to believe the best in others. This is harder sometimes than others, but making this conscious choice absolutely changes the emotional energy in your relationships, in the moment of conflict, in the household that is sometimes filled with a lot of challenging and difficult moments during the holidays. So believing the best in others is really subscribing to this idea that people, for the most part, are doing the best that they can given their circumstances. Um, there's several people who have built kind of whole models around this line of thinking. Dr. Ross Greene's collaborative problem-solving model really fits this to a T. He just lives and breathes this in terms of solving conflicts. Starts with choosing to believe the best in others, choosing to believe that our kids are doing the best that they can given their circumstances and given what's going on for them at the moment. Marsha Linehan is another amazing clinician who's built a whole model, dialectical behavioral therapy. And one of the big tenets of that too is that people are doing the best that they can and can always learn new skills. We can always learn new things. And the learning typically doesn't happen until, again, we get back to that green brain state. Starts with compassion, starts with believing the best in others, then moves to that integrated state where we can learn new skills and learn new tools. So what this looks like kind of on a day-to-day basis is when you notice your child doing that thing that you've asked them not to do for the 10th time in a row, and there they are doing it again. It's you in the moment, getting your green brain back, maybe taking a star breath like we talked about last time. Smile, take a deep breath, and relax. Breathe, ground yourself in the belief they're doing the best they can. They're doing the best they can. They're doing the best that they can. They may be missing something right now. They may be missing the structure that school was giving them. And structure such as it was. Maybe it was at school from home, and they were doing their Zoom calls or doing their homework and submitting it online. And it was not what school used to be, but it is what it is now. And in that moment, they gained a little bit of structure, and then now that structure is gone. So they're trying to fill their day with new things, and they may be a little aimless, and they may be lacking some of that structure. So you're going to believe the best in them, right? They're doing the best they can. I asked them not to. They did it again. Maybe they're out of focus. Maybe they're off track here, and they're missing some structure. Maybe it's that they're dealing with the feelings of this moment that are really high. Maybe they're missing their friends or missing a loved one or family member, or maybe a hard thing happened for them last year or sometime during the holidays, and they're dealing with all of that. So this believing the best in others is exercising curiosity. It's saying, I don't know necessarily what's going on, but I bet that there's a good reason for it. I bet you there's a reason why they're doing what they're doing right here and right now. It's choosing to believe the best. If they had the skill, if they had the structure, if they had the resiliency in the moment, they'd be coping a little better. Right now, they're not. And I'm here for them. I'm going to believe the best in them. Now, the good news is that we get to place this philosophy not only on our children, but also back on ourselves. And we have moments where we find ourselves behaving in ways that we would not like to behave as parents. And we say, wow, I didn't do the good thing that I hoped that I would have done. And then at that point, you can say, oh yeah, breathe. I'm doing the best I can too. This isn't saying that we just ignore all the bad things or the hard things or the challenges that come our way. It just chooses to start with saying they're doing the best they can. We can learn some new things. I believe they're doing the best they can. We can learn some new things here, right? And if you start off with that place of compassion, you're more likely to have a lot more bang for your buck when you're trying to maybe teach your child some new ways of doing things if they're back in that good, calm space to be able to do that. So I'm going to show you another little video clip here, some advice from the master in believing the best in others. So this is a little clip from Fred Rogers here. And I want you to notice as you watch this, kind of how you feel. If you notice anything happening as you watch this video, and just notice what's happening in yourself as you watch.
You know, it happens so often. I walk down the street and someone 20 or 30 or 40 years old will come up to me and say, "You are Mr. Rogers, aren't you?" And then they tell me about growing up with the neighborhood and how they're passing on to the children they know what they found to be important in our television work. like expressing their feelings through music and art and dance and sports and drama and computers and writing, and invariably we end our little time together with a hug. I'm just so proud of all of you who have grown up with us, and I know how tough it is some days to look with hope and confidence on the months and years ahead. But I would like to tell you what I often told you when you were much younger. I like you just the way you are. And what's more, I'm so grateful to you for helping the children in your life to know that you'll do everything you can to keep them safe and to help them express their feelings in ways that will bring healing in many different neighborhoods. It's such a good feeling to know that we're lifelong friends.
Did you notice anything? How did that feel to be believed in, even if it was just an experiment through watching a video? Did you notice anything happening in your sense of well-being and your level of potentially your level of stress at that moment? Um, this is a gift we can offer to our children. Believe the best in them. Believe that they may be stuck down in that lower blue or red brain sort of state, but you believe that we're going to get back there. We're going to get back to that green brain and have them all work together and make sense of those blue brain feelings and that need for safety. And you get to provide that for your own children. Belief is going to move into action with these next two tools here to use. The next one is giving kind eyes. It sounds really simple. You know, this is not rocket science. This is just allowing that belief in the best in your children, in the best in others, to move from your heart up into your facial expressions and give kind eyes to your children. Some pretty powerful things happen when you do that. There's a part of the brain called the insula. The insula it's being researched right now in several of the big universities on the West Coast, and they're seeing that like, wow, this is a pretty amazing part of the brain, and they're finding that it actually, its job is to measure kind of the emotional interaction between two people, kind of that emotional charge of energy that happens when you interact with someone. And that insula is there to kind of see, are you okay with me? And am I okay with you? Are we in a good space here together? I just knocked over my microphone. Hope you're believing the best in me right now as I get this back. Perfect. So giving those kind eyes, it gives a signal without even a word being said to your children that that you do believe the best in them, and that your eyes are communicating that I believe in you. And when your children feel believed in and they feel that kindness coming through in your eyes, they're more likely to be able to have those triggering sorts of feelings of, are we cool? Are we okay? Am I okay with you? Are you okay with me? That lives down in that blue brain, to kind of relax a little more, and they're able to get back to that good regulated state where they can make some sense of those feelings with you. So don't underestimate the power of just giving kind eyes and expressions of kindness and connection to your children. So this really is it's the physical expression of believing the best in other people. All right. Oh, I should mention with the insula, you know, it's like when and the opposite is true as well. If we are believing the worst in others, you know, if our core belief is that they would be doing well if they wanted to, they just don't care, they don't want to be a good person, or they're trying to ruin my good time here in life or something. It's that expression comes across without words as well. The insula can pick up on that, and it's that idea, the sensation that I'm I'm no good. If that's what I'm receiving through someone else's eyes, I may react upon that as well. And at one of the universities, I'm thinking it was one of the universities in California, they were doing some research on this, and they found that when they put people in this functional MRI machine, and the fMRIs that check in real time what's going on in the brain, and they were studying the insula, and they were seeing what happens when people receive social rejection from others. That I don't believe the best in you, and I'm going to let you know that through my eyes, my actions, and other things. When people felt social rejection from others, their brain registered that the same as if they were physically harmed, if they were physically hurt, attacked by someone. So keep that in mind. That whole idea of sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me is not accurate from a brain science standpoint. And the words that we say and the things that we do, down to even our expressions on our face, being aware of what this looks like, and maybe if we're not in a good space, breathe, take a break, breathe, focus, remind yourself they're doing the best they can. Choose to look at them with kindness, with compassion. It'll do something amazing. The last part of this, of these tools specifically, and these positive tools to use with our children, is the idea of wishing others well. These come from Dr. Becky Bailey. These ideas, the phrasing here of wishing well and kind eyes. She's a master at kind of putting really simple labels on very complex things. Wishing others well is this is like acting out positive intentions when people need it most, when they're not doing well. We don't necessarily need to wish people well when everything is fine and good. We're choosing to wish people well when they're not doing well. We are literally wishing wellness into them and their situations and what's going on for them at that moment. So how this works is, again, starts with belief. They're doing the best they can. We give them kind eyes, and then we're going to let those positive intentions move from our heart again to our expression upon them. You might physically, out loud say, I wish you well, but you don't have to. You can wish someone well just with the look on your face and how your tone shifts towards them. This is something you can actually teach, especially if your children have siblings. Choosing to wish others well between siblings is a great thing to do. You're going to model it with them. Wow, that tone of voice was not really great, but you know what? I believe you're doing the best you can. I'm wishing you well. Let's see what we can do about that. Right? It's going to come right across into that experience. So teaching them that same thing I do with you, I'd like for you to try that with your brother right now, right? He's not leaving you alone like you asked him to. It's something maybe going on for him. Let's believe the best in him. He would be leaving you alone if he knew how to, and somehow he doesn't know how. He doesn't. His skills at leaving you alone are pretty low right now for some reason. That must be hard. Let's wish him well right now. Let's give that a try. This is also something you can do even out in public. If you notice you're with your children, and again, feelings have been so high for so many people lately, and thinking about if you see someone not behaving well out in public, instead of just being silent or making some sort of judgment, you can get your kids right involved with you in that moment and say, wow, that person's having a hard time, aren't they? Why don't we wish them well? This tool it really is a powerful thing. It does a lot of good for the people who are being wished well. It's like you get something good out of it, but it doesn't stop there. it actually, the person who's choosing to wish others well gets a huge amount of the benefit from this. You get like a boost in those good neurotransmitters happening in your brain and that sense of well-being. Even like there's been some studies around suggesting that it might boost your immune system when you choose to wish others well a lot. And my thought is probably that, decreases your stress level. Instead of hanging on to this idea that I'm going to teach you a lesson, or man, what a rotten person you are, I'm choosing just to wish you well, and I get to be done with that in that moment. I don't have to hold on to that hard moment. I can let it go with a well wish to that person and be on my way at that moment. Now, when I mentioned the brain chemicals, things happening, Dr. Bailey has this phrase that she uses called joy juice, to describe kind of this cocktail that's like this holiday mixer of like good brain chemicals that you get to pour on your brain or on someone else's brain when you choose to use some of these tools, when you're choosing to connect with your child and to see them where they are, believe the best in them, give them kind eyes, give them compassion, make that connected moment between you and your child. They get some really, really great brain chemicals. The first of which is called oxytocin. Now, oxytocin is an attachment hormone. This is something that breastfeeding babies get when they're feeding from their mother. They get a burst of oxytocin, and mom does as well. It's related to like attachment and well-being. It's the chemical agent that says this person is safe and this action is good. Keep doing this. Do it again and again and again. As that hormone is released, it actually boosts the other person's belief and trust in you, which is really, really good. So you're believing the best in them. They get a burst of oxytocin that says, hey, this is good, right? I want to connect to this person. Something good is happening here, right? But that's not all. You also get a burst of dopamine in that moment. Dopamine is kind of the feel-good chemical that happens within our brain. A sense of kind of euphoric. Life is good. I can do anything. I'm like, man, this is a good thing. Dopamine is something that gets released. Everything from like, a good bite of dark chocolate will sometimes release some good dopamine in the brain. Getting a really good sale, like that shopper's high, you get dopamine from that sort of thing. So it's that, that feeling, that boost of like, ooh, yeah, life feels pretty good here. Choosing to connect with your children, choosing to believe the best, kind eyes, all of those sorts of things, wishing them well, they get a burst of dopamine in their brain. They actually feel better. But that's not all. One more here. You actually get endorphins in your brain when just by giving kind eyes to someone else. It like physically takes away pain. It takes away pain from that other person. It kills the pain, gives them that sense of life is good, and that, hey, I can trust this person, and that things are, I want to keep doing this. So it's powerful. It may sound like just simple words, give kind eyes, but giving kind eyes releases and unlocks some really amazing things that children need to cope with the stress that's going on in their worlds, right? If you have a little bit of extra dopamine, a little bit of extra endorphins, and a little bit less pain, a little more well-being, a little more closeness and attachment with others, yeah, you're going to be able to handle the things that come your way next in a better way. So there's some tools to use to connect with your children. And then we're going to mention a few other things here. One is just the what do we do when things don't go well, right? How can we still turn this into a connected moment? This phrase, oops, you made a mistake. You're beautiful to me. You're still awesome. You're wonderful. We're still good. Whatever phrase you want to put with that, to convey and to communicate this idea that they made a mistake, but we're going to give grace, compassion. We're going to look at the world through their eyes with our green brain. Think hypothetically, what must be going on? They made a mistake. Their skill at handling whatever came their way was too low to be able to get done the thing that they should have done. Oops, they made a mistake. They're still great. Teach this phrase to your kids. Pick one phrase for this, and make this kind of a family sort of tradition where when people make mistakes, we celebrate it. We still say, oops, you made a mistake. You're still awesome, right? You're still great with me. We're going to be okay, right? When you do this, a couple of things happen. One is that feeling of dread that happens when we all make a mistake starts to go away a little bit, right? If you know that you made a mistake, but other people are still cheering you on and still believing the best in you, it's like, okay, the pressure's off. Pressure's off means green brain, it comes back. Boom. If they're like flipped lid, stuck in the shame, stuck in the anger, the frustration, the sadness, I blew it, I made a mistake, I'm no good, I'm never going to be good again, things are just not in a good space. Oops, you made a mistake. You're still great with me. That lid comes back down. And you know what? Look at what they have. They've got their great big basket of skills back to be able to learn from that mistake. They can put logic on that mistake. They can put language on it. They can figure out maybe a new way to do it next time. That rarely happens when the lid is flipped, right? Or if they're even deeper down in that survival state, it's never going to happen, you know? So creating an environment where mistakes are not only common, but they happen, and they're actually potentially a good thing because we can learn from them, means that they're more likely to make a mistake. When I was training under Dr. Becky Bailey this past year, we actually even had cards. And if you go to their website, the Conscious Discipline website, you can order OOPS cards. You can make your own. You could create a sign in your house that says something along these lines that you can kind of point back to. But I've seen it happen in some pretty awesome ways where parents learn it and kids learn it. I had a child just these past few weeks remind his mom that, oops, you made a mistake, mom, you're still awesome. And they were able to kind of reconnect, and mom was so proud that her son was able to know that it's okay to make mistakes and remind her of that too, which was pretty awesome. And it reminds me of when I was actually at the training. We were in this great big hotel, and there were tables with like linen tablecloths on them, and a person at my table, one of the last days of the training, had a cup of coffee and knocked it over and spilled it, and coffee spilled all over this white linen tablecloth at this really nice hotel where we were at the training. And I pulled out one of those oops cards and I said, oops, you made a mistake, you're still awesome. And she looked at me and said, oh my gosh, like I felt that when that happened, when you told me that dread was there and you reminded me, and it's like, oh yeah, it's okay. We all make mistakes. This was my chance to make one, and I'm glad you reminded me that we're still good here. So bring that into your household. Choose to give oopses rather than judgment. Judgment keeps us stuck down here, right? I'm no good. Things are not okay with us. Giving an oops allows you to move on and learn. I also want to encourage you to use the power of noticing during these holidays. I mean, it's very easy for us to kind of get in our own routines, our own ruts, our own ways of doing things. And our children need our attention. They do. And Dr. Bailey, another one of her phrases that she uses a lot is that behavior, we can either perceive it as a distraction and a disturbance to us, or we can see it as a communication. A lot of times when our children are acting out in lots of ways that may be communicating to us that there's a need there that's not being met. giving lots of attention is a good way to maybe meet some of those needs that our children may have, especially if they're used to people attending to them quite a bit. Even if it's just online virtual school, they have people paying attention. My middle school age daughter, if she doesn't sign into a class, we get an email saying that they missed her in that class, and so it's like there's attention that's given to those sorts of things that are used to being attended to, and when it's at school, when they're there actually in the flesh, there's lots of attention that happens, and but now it's a little different. And when they have that gone too, and they're just in your homes with you during the holidays, they may be really hungry for that. So notice what's going on for them. Notice the feelings, notice the words, notice the play, notice the actions. The empathy that you have for your child is going to start from a place of noticing, being curious, what may be going on in their world, what's up for them. So I don't know a whole lot of other ways to describe this other than just say, have regular times where you attend to them a lot. Have a dad and daughter date, or a mom and son date, or something where it's like you are giving them 100% attention. If they're trying to tell you something that's important to them that's going on, just stop. Whatever it is that you're doing can wait, and just focus right in and let them tell you what it is that's important to them. It probably won't take that long and will mean so much to them. And that soothes the blue brain. Just being heard, being noticed in your own household will bring the overall level of stress down. Another tool to use is encouragement. So if you think about the word encouragement, the root of that is actually courage. So to encourage someone means basically to give courage to. And especially if you're not feeling very courageous, if a child may be having a hard time or difficulty with something, they may lack the courage to do it, right? That's why they're not following through with what they know that they're supposed to, is, and maybe in some way they've lost courage, they've lost heart. So encouraging means I see you where you are, and I'm here with you, and I'm going to speak some life into this situation and boost that sense of what you can do here. So there's a little phrase or some kind of a like a formula to use that's helpful when you're giving encouragement to kids. And it starts off with the you. You did this. You can do it. I'm believing. It's not I believe, I think, I'm so proud. It's like that's focusing on me, right? But we're going to start off by saying you did this, right? And you describe what they did that was helpful or good, right? That little boost of courage, right, to that moment, and say what they did, and then describe it. What's the big deal about what they did, and then connect it to the whole family here. We're going to build some unity into this as well. So encouragement might be, if a child has traditionally had a hard time, um, maybe picking up their toys after they're done playing with them, especially like out in a big shared space like a living room or something. If they're out playing with their Legos and their it's they leave them and you end up stepping on them and it hurts like the dickens, because those things do when you step on them. But it's been a hard thing, and you've been working with them, and you see that they start maybe having a hard time, but they're putting them away. You say, you did it. You did it. You saw that those Legos were laying out, and you decided to put them away. See, I said you, and I described what they did. That was helpful and kind. Thank you for that. So that's the describing what they did. What they did was helpful. What they did was kind. And then I'm going to connect it to the family. Because you chose to put your Legos away, I won't step on them and it's going to save my feet. That was so kind of you to do that. Or you chose to clean up your Legos. And when you did that, that helped the whole family feel a little safer. It felt like the whole family was feeling like a little more clear in this space because of what you did there. That was helpful. Thank you. So we boost the courage. Keep doing this thing. You didn't think you could do it, but you did. You started putting these things away. That was kind, right? You did it. You started putting your toys away. That helped us all feel safe. Thank you. Encourage. It builds connection. It says, I see you. I see what's going on. I know it's hard for you. And I'm going to pay attention to those good things that you're doing there. So what I'm going to ask you to do now is to practice these things. So as part of this project, we've contracted with some artists out in the Florence area who have helped with some videos, and also one of our artists here from CAPA who they've created a series of videos of art and craft activities to do with your children to boost all of these things, to boost connection and to help you feel more connected with your child during these times. Choosing to do these things to connect with your children will overall lower the stress and improve the sense of well-being and the enjoyment that you have with your kids during this time. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do during these times. Watch some of these videos, do some of these activities together. Maybe it's making your star breathing star to hang in your house, or a few of the other activities that we have for you to do. Practice giving kind eyes. Practice believing the best in your children. Practice wishing them well, noticing, practice encouragement. Just be 100% with them in the moment. Put your phone away. Let the rest of the holidays just go away. Spend an uninterrupted half an hour to an hour with your child. It will go such a long way to boost that sense of connection between you and your child. So I hope you have fun with that. That's the activity to do during this video, is to just do something fun and creative with your child and practice all of these tools. Thanks again for your time, and I look forward to meeting again on the next one, and have a wonderful, wonderful holiday.